Good day. Welcome to the safety awareness video for Transnet freight rail track maintenance. While this video will make you aware of a number of safety aspects, it is not intended to train you in the specifics of your own unique job. You still have to learn to do your job to the best standards possible while obeying all the correct safety procedures specific to that particular job. Infra workers use tools such as these while executing their duties. We would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are all responsible for looking out for our own safety. However, as soon as two or more of us work together, we become a team, and then we should also look out for each other's safety. If we see anybody working unsafely, we should remind that person about how to work safely. We should always do this in a friendly manner, so that we can easily get cooperation and all can begin working properly and safely again. Transnet Freight Rail is a responsible employer and will not tolerate anyone working unsafely. It has a policy of zero tolerance for those who will not work safely. If you do not work safely with all the proper PPE, you will be told to leave the place of work immediately. Transnet Freight Rail cares for you, your safety, and the environment. Some of you may know these definitions. They are repeated here to remind us of what they mean. They will also remind us of the person in charge, that person on whom responsibility rests in making important decisions during an emergency. People who have authority on Transnet freight rail tracks have a special certificate that states what their area of responsibility or authority is. This certificate must be shown to a senior or even more junior person when requested. Infra workers are those of us working on the tracks with specific tasks to do and for which we have been trained. The track master is the person responsible for the maintenance of a certain length of track. He or she takes all responsibility for the teams of infra workers or contractors working on that section.
Yes, you're speaking to track master.
The track master must request permission to work on the track from the train control officer or TCO. Once work is concluded, he or she must ensure that the track is safe for use once again. He or she then communicates this back to the TCO. This is to ensure that there are no trains about to pass that section and that the TCO knows that you are there and can stop all train movements before your section. The train control officer is based at Central Train Control or CTC. He or she controls the movement of trains for that designated section or region. They have to know what's happening on the tracks all the time, so that their trains can operate safely and efficiently. That is why all emergencies or any faults or breakdowns must be reported to the TCO immediately. Work on the tracks may not be done unless it has been booked and scheduled for an occupation day or time period with the train control officer. Once the permission is given and work commences, everyone must work quickly, efficiently and safely, so that no additional delays occur. Stopping or delaying trains is time and money wasting. Our customers do not like their loads to be late or delayed. Immediately the work is finished and the track is safe, the TCO should be informed so that normal traffic may resume. Before any work commences, all workers should be organized into a group. The official in charge should do this. He or she should have a safety checklist for that day. There should be a register of who is at work in this place so that in an emergency, we can account for everyone. A brief safety talk should take place, where the tasks of each person should be explained and clarity on each PPE to be used should be known. A safety inspection of this PPE should be done, including workers' overalls, to check for torn pieces that could get hooked in machinery. A safety check on each one's machinery and tools should take place. For instance, slightly broken handles on forks or poor connections on air hoses could lead to serious injuries. The emergency fire extinguishers and other equipment must have been serviced recently and currently valid for use. Lastly, in the safety checklist, we should check whether everyone that will operate any of the hand tools or machinery is in fact trained to use that piece of equipment. All persons operating hand tools or plant machinery have to be trained to use that equipment. Absolutely no persons should be allowed to use or operate anything without the proper appropriate training. They should have certificates to show they are qualified. You and everyone around you is in big danger if an unqualified person operates any equipment or does anything in an unsafe manner. Be alert and look after yourselves and your colleagues. The rest of this video will cover these main topics: affording on-track protection, handling of permanent way material, loading and offloading of material, utilization of hand tools and small plant machines, safe handling of gas, casting of exothermic welding, on-track machinery. The protected area of the track to be worked on is called the demarcated area. The demarcation is done in steps with different flags. The number of flags depends on the type of work being done and whether or not the oncoming train must stop completely or pass by slowly. The demarcation commences at least 1,500 meters up the track on the side of the oncoming trains. It is done on both ends of the work area for bi-directional train movement. That is, trains that could come from any side. While working, if a train can pass by safely at normal speed, a white flag is used. This is to get the train driver's attention and to warn him that people are on the track and it is still safe to proceed at normal speed. This flag is placed at a suitable distance up the track from the work taking place. If necessary, one detonator is used. This is placed 100 meters up the track away from the flag. If a train must slow down completely to a maximum speed of 30 kilometers per hour, then a yellow-black flag is used. The yellow-black flag is displayed at least 1,500 meters from where the work is taking place. In addition, one detonator must be placed 100 meters from the flag. If a train has to stop completely because it is very unsafe, then a red flag as well as a red banner across the track is used. The red banner is placed across the track to demarcate the affected area. In addition, 2 detonators are placed on the track. The red flag is displayed at least 1,500 meters up the track from where the red banner is. The first detonator is placed 100 meters from the red flag. The second detonator is placed 20 meters away from the first detonator. So, the driver hears the first detonator. Shortly after that, he or she hears the second detonator. Now he or she knows that the brakes have to be applied to stop. The driver then sees the red flag and the red banner in the distance. The train comes to a complete stop and awaits further instruction before it proceeds. Detonators are placed on the track to get the complete attention of the train driver. These detonators are actually explosives and must be handled and stored very carefully. Always far away from open flames and possible impacts. Do not abuse these or any of your other equipment. All materials belonging to Transnet freight rail must be handled safely and with proper care. Materials such as rails must be handled with rail tongs and slewing bars. Sleepers must be handled with sleeper tongs. The appropriate number of handlers for the weight of an item must be observed. In other words, there must not be too few or too many people lifting heavy items such as rails or sleepers. As you have been trained, when lifting or moving big heavy items such as a rail, always use a proper rhythm, which everyone can hear and be in sync with, so that you all work together in perfect timing. This helps make your load lighter. The leader in charge should ensure that working groups are of similar height, so that they all lift the same together. All personnel should always lift with their knees bent while keeping their backs as straight as possible. This is because your leg muscles are much more powerful and capable than your back muscles. Everyone must be making use of their PPE, such as overalls, gloves, and safety boots. Hard hats should be worn in areas of derailments. When stacking materials, proper use of tools such as tongs and slewing bars must be made. Always stack materials of the same type together. Never mix different sizes together in the same stack, because this makes the stack unstable. For instance, 48 kg per meter rails must all be together. These different weights of rails have different profiles. Mixing them together will result in an unstable stack such as this one, which will endanger anyone or anything near it. The stacking procedure of rails will be: the first layer lies flat on the flanges. The next layer, the rails are flipped upside down and sit in the spaces between the rails below. The layer on top of that is upright again, so that the flanges sit on the flanges of the layer below. When stacking sleepers, especially wooden ones, we clear the area of grass and flammable materials first by scoffling so that a nearby fire can't set fire to our sleepers. We stack the same type of sleeper together with each other. Look at this stack of incorrectly grouped sleepers. See how dangerous and unstable it is. Always keep the same lengths and same profiles together with each other. The trained person with the most experience in stacking should take charge of the stacking procedures. As with all tasks, we must work together as a team. Our group should be called together to discuss safety instruction as to how we are going to do the task. Certain materials can be loaded by hand and others not. For instance, loose materials such as ballast cannot be handled or loaded using one's hands. But sleepers and rails can be handled by hand using the proper tools, as we saw in the section before. Certain materials may be too long or too heavy to be handled by hand. For instance, short rails may be handled by hand, whereas long welded rails must be handled by a special crane. Most importantly, you must ensure that you have the right number of people when lifting heavy loads. If you are too few people, you will most likely drop the load at a critical point and could injure yourselves badly. Do not show off your strength and do foolish things. You will lose all your strength, or maybe even an arm or a leg, when you land up in hospital. If you need to load rails by hand, you can use the technique where a group works at one end to hook the rail past the stanchion, which is the upright pillar part of a truck, and once that side is secure on the truck, the group moves to the other side of the rail to lift that part onto the truck. When offloading rails, it is best to use the RRV or road rail vehicle. Be alert and communicate clearly to the people at the bottom near the offloading site. Watch out for grease on the rails. This may surprise you when handling the rail sections. When using a crane to load and offload, it is very important that the person operating the crane is properly qualified to operate that crane. He or she must have a certificate with them that shows their qualification. Everyone must listen to what the qualified operator's instructions are and obey them. All personnel working on or near crane equipment must also be wearing a hard hat. If the crane is on a road truck, the crane and truck should be stabilized with its outriggers onto firm ground if it is fitted with them. All trucks and cranes must be earthed when working near high voltage overhead equipment. No piece of equipment must come closer than 3 meters of a live overhead wire. When loading or offloading under any high voltage overhead equipment, never lift an object higher than head height. Always handle materials parallel to the ground. Finally, whenever work is done under high voltage overhead track equipment, OHTE must be called and their personnel must be present at the time where the work is taking place. Each and every machine that is used on Transnet's tracks must have a maintenance logbook according to the Code of Practice number 29. This provides proof that proper maintenance has been carried out should any incident occur. If you witness an incident involving a hand tool or machine or any damage to the machine or tool, you must report it to the person in charge. People may only use machines and hand tools for which they have been trained. They may not use any machine or hand tool that they haven't been trained to use. Never use equipment that you are not trained to use. Never abuse or misuse hand tools or machinery, such as using them for tasks they were not designed to do. Concentrate and work accurately while using your hand tools and machinery. If you get distracted, stop using the equipment until you can concentrate properly again. Persons using their machines and hand tools must always use it the way they were trained to use it, such as using the correct technique or posture. This is to avoid personal injury. You also need to adhere to the correct safety procedures for that equipment. Sometimes hand tools such as grinders and disc cutters can be very dangerous, and extra PPE must be used, such as safety goggles and safety shields for sparks. Keep people away from the danger areas when using your equipment. Never fool around at the workplace. If you do, very, very serious things can happen to you or your colleagues. We care about your safety. Please take care too. Some tasks require the use of gases at the place of work, which may be at the workshops or out on the tracks, maybe to cut steel or to weld steel. Only qualified welders may be doing these tasks because these bottled gases, if mishandled or abused, are extremely dangerous. The qualified welder must use extra PPE such as a welding apron, welding gloves, arm guards, safety legging, and a special helmet. You may be asked by a qualified person to assist in certain tasks, such as loading and carrying the gas bottles or moving the pipes. Always listen carefully to the instructions and obey them properly. Make sure there are enough people to carry the heavy things. Use a trolley if it is available for moving equipment long distances. If you use the trolley, make sure the proper on-track protection is in place. The qualified person must take responsibility for all loading, unloading and transportation of the gas equipment, as well as its safe use on site. Special protection such as fire guards to protect the surrounding environment from sparks, and fire extinguishers and fire beaters must be ready for immediate use. If you or other people are anywhere where tracks are being cut, be sure to stand well away from tracks that are under tension or that are bent, such as after a derailment. These tracks may suddenly move very fast after being cut, releasing the built-up forces in the bending or from gravity. Even if only slightly bent or on a slope, this force is like a whiplash and can injure you severely. Safe working procedures for exothermic welding procedures require that the local fire department be notified where necessary that such activities are taking place in their area. This is so that they can be prepared to come out if needed. You should have your own firefighting equipment too, such as fire beaters and fire extinguishers. There should be enough people to pick up and carry the heavy items. Only trained personnel may carry out these procedures. Those in the vicinity will all work with the proper PPEs, such as safety boots, welding aprons, safety legging, welding gloves, goggles, earplugs, hard hat and spark shields. During the casting process, all other personnel must stand back or work at a safe distance. The person in authority must make sure that all safety measures are in place before work commences, such as clearing the area of anything that can catch fire. Only qualified employees and their dedicated assistants should participate in the welding process. Always listen to their warnings or instructions. An on-track machine, such as the RRV, a road rail vehicle, is a truck used to do common repair and maintenance work on the tracks on a daily basis. This vehicle, as with all other on-track vehicles, is regarded as a train and is treated as one. All operating procedures such as its movements on and around the tracks are governed by the train working rules and controlled by central control. The driver will be trained in train working rules. This vehicle is very sophisticated and expensive. You need a proper working knowledge to use it. It must always be used with respect. Transnet Freight Rail makes use of a number of other on-track vehicles from time to time. These are usually owned and operated by third-party companies for the sake of efficiencies in utilization and training. Some of these vehicles are ballast tamping machines, ballast screening machines, ballast regulator, sleeper replacement machine, rail grinding machines. These machines are specialized machines and can sometimes do unexpected things, such as lifting up tracks or vibrating the ballast. When working near and around these on-track machines, always be alert and careful and obey any instructions from the trained operators and their assistants. There are many specialist jobs happening all around us as we work at Transnet, each with its own set of unique safety practices, but as we have seen, safety is mostly about awareness and concentration. The most important things to remember are to look out for your own safety and the safety of others in your work group, to communicate clearly with each other about the task you're about to do together, to always wear the proper PPE for the task, To check your hand tools or machinery before use. To never use equipment that you have not been trained to use. To use the proper techniques in executing your tasks. To report faulty equipment or dangerous practices. Please enjoy your work here. You will enjoy it better when you know that you will go home to your family the way you left, and also be fulfilled and secure in the knowledge that you have done a safe day's work. Remember, my safety, your safety, our safety.